Hi, I'm Karen Burniston and I love pop-ups. Now my pop-up cake die is going to take you about 15 minutes to put together, but we're going to do it double speed so that you can see this thing go together in just 7 minutes. What I'm doing first, I've already die cut all the pieces for my cake and I'm just going to work those folds. And I've cut 2 of those little center pieces so that I can use one as a reinforcing piece. Red line or tacky tape is really your adhesive of choice for the pop-up cake. You've got to have something strong. And so what I've done here is on my reinforcing piece, I'm going to cut it on the first set of tick marks and reinforce the bottom section of my center piece. So I'll line up the foot fold next to the foot fold, press it together, and now I've got a little reinforced centerpiece section. You can build the cake right in your card, but I like to build it on a little cake plate. And in this case, I've just die cut a scalloped circle, folded it in the middle, and now I'll line up the feet of my centerpiece right in the center, and that will become my little card for building my cake. I'm going to fold in all those side tabs on my centerpiece to have it be ready to assemble my cake. And then tier by tier, I'm going to add that red line or tacky tape starting up at the top fold and then all the way down the legs. I always suggest that you make the structure of the cake out of a relatively strong cardstock, and that's what I've chosen here. Okay, tacky tape is on, and now I can add my largest tier to my centerpiece. I'll have to hold the flaps down, and then I can slide the tier onto the centerpiece and open the first set of tabs. Out there on the leg, I want to take up the tacky tape just on the flat part that will go against the base of the cake plate. So on each side, I'll need to cut off my liner so that the sides of the cake tier will stay with liner on them. I don't have to worry about them being sticky. And now here's that reinforcing. I'm going to slide a stapler in there and just staple as close as I can get to those folds to really reinforce that connection. And then more reinforcing. Let me just take my little reinforcing centerpiece, cut another piece, and reinforce that section. Now I'm just going to repeat the same process with my middle tier. On the sides, I'll just peel up and cut off my liner so that the flat part can be attached. Do it on the other side as well. The ends of those legs are going to butt up right next to that centerpiece as you go up. Let's do the reinforcing again. If I've gotten a little off on my tick marks, I just need to even it up there first. Get a piece, reinforce, and now my final tier can go on the cake. And I'm just doing the exact same thing again. Peel it up, cut off the liner, put the flat part down. It should touch, the legs should touch the centerpiece. Final leg down. And now let's just give it a little squeeze. Make sure that everything's popping up and popping down. It's looking great. And I'll go ahead and add that little reinforcing piece to the top. It's not totally necessary, but if you've got something heavy going on the cake, you might want it. Let's talk tiers. Now the tiers are not cut by the die, so you get to choose your materials. If you're using paper like this punch-out border, then one little tip is you can run it through a crimper. And then what's nice about that is that helps disguise the side folds when the tier is folded flat. Really good idea to use a crimper on paper. It just adds some decoration as well. My other 2 tiers, I'm going to use some materials that don't like to hold a fold. The first one's grunge paper, and the second one is a transparency. And I've done some painting, inking, stamping, embossing to decorate those. Let's start with the top tier. I'm going to cover the back of my cake with my tier and then staple it. Then I'll add another piece of tacky tape over the top. I can take the tacky tape off on both sides, and then with my cake really tall and flat open on the table, I can wrap that tier around. You can cut off any excess, and then since it's the back of the cake, I say just take a little piece of tape right across that end. That'll help hold it on there. It's the back of the cake. You're not going to notice it. I'm going to use that grunge paper for my second tier. Again, I'll get it started at the back of the cake, staple it for reinforcing, add a piece of tacky tape over the top. Peel up the liner on that tape, peel up the liner on the other side, make sure my cake is nice and good and open and flat, and wrap my tier around. I'll cut off the excess, and then again I'll just go back to my tape again to reinforce that connection on the end. I like to use tiers that are 1 inch tall so that they'll just raise a little bit higher than each of the flat parts of the cake. And I'm going to add finally my last tier on the bottom there in the exact same manner, although apparently I forgot to staple it, but that's okay, it'll still work. And then around the side of the cake, again, making sure your cake is nice and tall while you do this part, and then adding that tape over the seam on the back. Train your cake to fold, and now it's time to add it to a card. I made my card out of matte board, and I put a center fold and then 2 folds 1/8 of an inch off of the center fold in either direction to give my card some thickness. And when I add my tacky tape to the bottom of my cake plate, I'll start at about 1/8 of an inch out from that center fold so that I don't have any tape in between the folds in the card. Now I can peel up the liner on my cake plate and add it inside my card. And I'll just want the center of the cake plate to be right in the center fold of the card. So I'm going to ignore the 2 outer folds in my card. I'm just worried about the center one. Press it down and then over the top to the other side. And now I can fold it, unfold it, and that cake is going to pop right up. And when it's closed, the tiers on the side stay rounded. Oh, decorating these cakes is so fun. Here's my finished card. The front of the card features one of my dies, the bird, and I've embossed it and painted it with Luminart. Then I've stamped the word congrats inside a metal frame, and then I've used a little mini birdcage die from the Tim Holtz collection. To keep the card closed, I put a bead on some elastic, and then I've just stretched it over my decorative edge to hold the card closed. And then when it opens, you'll see all those decorations that I've put on the cake. My concept for this card was that it would be a congratulatory cake, so I've stamped best wishes on a little tag and hung it off of a flourish, and that flourish is attached to the top of my cake behind that black flower. And now I get to congratulate you because you have finished watching this tutorial, and I wish you best wishes for all of your cake projects in the future. You can find out where to buy this die and any of the dies on Sizzix.com, or check my blog, KarenBurniston.typepad.com, for a full supply list. Thanks for watching.